This is Autoline After Hours with John McElroy and Gary Vasilash, episode 562 for July 1st of 2021. Ford's Maverick pickup could become a cult classic. Watch Autoline After Hours live at Autoline.tv every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 12 p.m. Pacific. You can subscribe to this podcast for free by searching for Autoline in iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube.
Autoline After Hours is brought to you by Bridgestone Tires, solutions for your journey, and by Borg Warner, propulsion solutions that support a clean, energy-efficient world.
Hello, Gary.
John, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't wait to get into this show. I've been really excited to learn more about this Ford Maverick pickup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an outstanding show. We got a couple of good guests. We got a great journalist. And today, this is going to be like Jeopardy. I'm going to let you select a topic for, there's so much happened today in history on this date. So you can choose from technology, politics, business, or product.
Ooh. I'll pick politics.
All right. So something happened today in 1956, which had a profound effect on automobility in the United States.
Oh, interesting. I guess I have to put it in the form of a question, right? If this is Jeopardy, I'm tempted to say, what's the answer? There's a question. I'm going to say that is the date on which, and I can't remember what government entity said General Motors could no longer have all the DuPont bankers on its board and they had to get the boot.
Sorry, you're wrong. So this is more political. Today, the National Highway Safety Act was written, which created the interstate highway system.
Oh, wow.
So
that's interesting. I didn't realize it was that late. I thought it was earlier in the 1950s.
No. So the others were in 1911, Charles Kettering announced the self-starter, which I think is perhaps the most important development of the 20th century in terms of vehicles. Well, I mean, aside from the creation of vehicles, or the mass production of vehicles. In 1997, the Lincoln Navigator was introduced today. In 2003, Tesla was founded today, not by Elon Musk.
That's right.
By Martin Eberhard and Mark Teppering, but due to the fact that Elon put a whole bunch of money in early on, he gets to be counted as one of the founders of the company. So. And finally, in 2005, and you and I were talking about this off the show, the last T-Bird was produced at the Wixom plant on July 1st, 2005.
A historic day today.
A very historic day. I think everybody has picked stuff to do on July 1st. So anyway.
Right. Real good. Hey, let's bring in Mike Martinez from Automotive News. He's joining us today. Hello out there in virtual land, Mr. Mike.
Hey guys, how you doing? You know, I'll give you one more historical note because we get internal emails sent to the staff every day about this sort of thing. And today they said on this date back in 1914, Dodge was founded. So there's another one for you.
Wow.
There you go.
Very historic.
It all happens today.
That's right. Everything good, Mike?
Things are going good. It's good to see you guys virtually. I know we're getting back in the swing of things in some respects. I've been to a drive program or two, so it's nice to get back.
It's starting to feel like normal again, sort of.
A little bit.
Well, hey, look, I know everybody who's tuning in really wants to hear about our guests. Let's bring them in. We've got Trevor Scott, who's the marketing manager for the Ford Maverick. We got Chris Mazur, who's the chief program engineer for it as well. And guys, welcome to the Autoline After Hours.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us, John.
So there's so much to talk about. We've got a bunch of questions from our viewers as well that want to know particulars. But I'll throw out the first question. Let's start broad-based. I mean, for years, for decades, I wish I had $1 prior to the Maverick coming out for every time somebody said, why doesn't the Ford Motor Company make a smaller pickup truck? And they weren't referring to the Ranger, even smaller than that. And Ford executives, and I'm going back 10, 20 years even, were like, oh, we think the F-150 meets all the needs of our truck buyers. And clearly you guys saw something else. Trevor, you're the marketing guy. What'd you guys see that led you to do the Maverick?
Well, it's a great question, right? And obviously, the industry is always changing. And as this audience recalls, just a few short years ago, we made the announcement to move away from sedans, right? And so as we sort of step back and look at the overall Ford showroom, understanding a need for an affordable entry-level product into the Ford showroom, but also looking at kind of who this target customer is and many of the compromises that they have to make based on the need for an affordable product, but one that actually is fuel efficient, one that can transport their friends and family, that has the versatility that they're after. Really Maverick kind of fits that bill. It provides them with the strong fuel economy, 40 mpg in the city. It provides the versatile flex bed that you have to transport your cargo or anything that you're looking to move around. You got 5 passengers, right? You've got all the standard technology that the customer is looking for, but again, at a very affordable price point of below $20,000. And so as we looked at sort of the opportunity and looked at who our target customer is, Maverick was absolutely the perfect fit.
So, Chris, let me ask you a question. When you originally got the brief to do this vehicle, from an engineering point of view, what were the key elements that you looked at that you guys knew you had to hit?
Well, 3 things, really. There was fuel economy. The customer wanted not just good fuel economy, they wanted great fuel economy. They wanted the versatility that Trevor just spoke of, and they wanted all at a very affordable price. All of that envelope, because this is a truck, in the context of built Ford Tough. So a capable built Ford Tough truck that delivered fuel economy, that delivered versatility, and delivered the affordability.
Mike
Mike, your
Martinez.
turn.
Yeah, Chris, I'm curious. You mentioned built Ford Tough. Is there a risk in expanding that mantra, that brand, to a unibody vehicle? And how did you guys go about ensuring it was built Ford Tough? It could be talked about in the same conversation as F-150, as Ranger. How'd you guys do that in the development process?
Yeah, we actually view it, Mike, very much as an opportunity to grow what built Ford Tough means. So the vehicle is smaller. Our truck is smaller than the F-150, but we are proportionally just as tough. So the advantage we get, with our truck leadership, with F-Series and Rangers, the advantage to have that influence on how we develop a truck, how we torture test a truck, is fantastic for something like this to bring a vehicle to market. So all that influence is in this product. And I can tell you, our engineers enjoy nothing more than trying to outdo each other, right? The engineer designs the part versus the engineer is trying to, it's torture testing, trying to break the part. So we had a lot of fun with it, but yeah, very, very, very excited about the capability behind the vehicle, and very proud to be able to credibly carry the Build Ford Tough emblem, right, and symbol for Ford Motor Company.
Trevor,
And I would
go
sorry.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just to add to that, right, because I think that was well said. I mean, I think it gets into the capability, right? As Chris highlighted, it's the standard payload of 1,500 pounds. That's stronger than many mid-size pickup, models today. It's the towing capability, standard towing capability of 2,000 pounds, but a max towing capability of 4,000 pounds. So, while it is obviously smaller in size than today's Ranger and F-150, it's absolutely just as capable, proportionally speaking, and that's a big part of what Built Ford Tough stands for.
Trevor, I was going to ask you, you must see a different buyer for this truck, separate from Ranger, separate from F-150. Who do you think is going to buy this?
Yeah, I mean, again, as I was mentioning, it's definitely a different audience, right? It's a different customer that's looking at Maverick. Definitely younger, more diverse than today's average Ford buyer. You're looking at kind of that 25 to 35-year-old after something that, again, is fuel efficient, that is versatile, that's affordable. Really customers that up to this point have largely had to compromise on their vehicle choice. They might be driving a small car for the fuel efficiency, but they sacrifice the cargo space or the ability to put all of their friends and family in the truck or in the vehicle. That is, it's customers that are really looking for that total package. The ability to seat all of their friends and family, the ability to use the versatility of the bed, having that strong fuel efficiency, but again, at a very affordable price point. And so we fully expect that we're going to see a lot of customers that either haven't owned a truck or even considered a truck up to this point. That's really what we're expecting to see with this all-new Maverick.
Are they currently Ford owners, or are you going to capture from other brands?
Well, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, there's going to be some customers that are going to do some level of cross-shopping against, the rest of our Ford lineup, and we fully expect to see that. But for us, it's absolutely about growing the Ford brand, right? It's about bringing in new customers to the portfolio, giving an opportunity to really put the Ford brand in front of them with this versatile product.
Let me follow up on that, Trevor. Okay, so emphasizing that this is truly a Ford truck, you guys made a decision, presumably not to go after a sort of a modern urban lifestyle look, more of a truck thing. So, can you give us a sense of, who the person is that is saying, you know what, I no longer am going to drive a Focus, I'm going to switch over to a truck? I mean, what causes a person to even think that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Gary. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, Built Ford Tough is really a brand in and of itself, right? And so Ford obviously has the heritage and really the credibility when it comes to trucks. For us, Maverick is really about more than just being a truck. It's about being that total package, that versatile, sort of fuel efficient vehicle that this customer is after. And absolutely, there's going to be customers that have been driving sedans or small, SUVs that are going to be looking at the silhouette a little bit differently, right? And I think for us, it's about making sure that they see the total package that they get here. They get the same, really the same passenger seating. They get the cargo space. They get the fuel efficiency that they're after. They get the bonus of having this flex bed, this 4.5 foot truck bed that provides that extra level of flexibility and versatility to do all the different things that they want to do in their life. And that's why I fully expect that we're going to see a lot of customers that are looking at this truck for the first time, customers that wouldn't previously have entertained the idea of driving a truck, but because of that total package, everything that they can get, be hard pressed to look past it.
Trevor, I'm wondering if, you mentioned these sedan customers that you think you can convert. Do you think specifically you'll get some former Ford sedan customers? I know it's been about 3 years or so since you guys made that decision to discontinue the sedans. You think there are enough folks out there in Fusions, in Focuses, maybe with leases ending, or who've already switched, who might be willing to come back?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that was really a strategic reason for the development of the Maverick in the first place as well, as many of those, Focus and Fusion customers are nearing the end of their trade cycle, having a very suitable and credible offering for them as they return to our Ford dealerships. And we've already heard that directly from a lot of our Ford dealers, that many of those customers that are driving those small cars and sedans, like the Focuses and the Fusions and even the Fiestas, right, are absolutely looking at Maverick as a very credible option as they near the end of their trade cycle.
Chris, undoubtedly there's going to be people who go, well, what do you mean Unibody? I need body on frame. I need a frame. What would you tell them?
Well, the advantages of Unibody are really impressive from the start point, just right, some of the physics involved. So the ride and handling, the ingress, egress, right, the ability to get into the vehicle, get out of the vehicle easily, the ability to access the bed, so we call it lift over height, get items out of the bed. There's a lot of advantages. The maneuverability of this truck is something we really want the customers to experience. The garageability of this truck is something we really want the customers to experience. This is a vehicle you can not worry about, maneuvering inside of a parking structure, not worry about trying to back out of a parking spot in the grocery store parking lot. So we look at it as really a set of solutions that's really advantageous.
So let's talk about torsional rigidity, bending moments, and that sort of thing. I mean, how strong is the structure?
Well, it's built Ford Tough, so it's strong. Again, we wouldn't Built Ford Tough is something we take very seriously, obviously at Ford. So we wouldn't put carry that Built Ford Tough label without that. So it's gone through the amount of torture testing we put this vehicle through. In some ways, is arguably more than what we've done in other vehicles because of that dynamic that you just described. So obviously, with the Unibody, that D pillar is heavily reinforced. It's something we spent a lot of time engineering to ensure that we do have the structural rigidity, and we're really pleased with the results.
Chris, you guys have both mentioned fuel economy a couple of times. So this vehicle comes standard with a hybrid powertrain. Explain to us what the elements of this powertrain are. Is it the same as a hybrid system that's being used in, say, the F-150?
No, this is a full hybrid, part of our power split system. So it's a similar system to what we have in our current Escape vehicle. It is we have the 2.5 liter Atkinson engine paired with a battery. So the vehicle is constantly switching between mechanical and electrical power to optimize overall fuel economy. So it's what we call our power split system. It's something we have a lot of experience with, over 20 years experience with this technology, and that experience and our ability to get better with it from a technical standpoint every time, and our ability to extract the scale efficiencies out of it is really what we're excited about, to be able to offer this amount of technology at this price point.
So it's mated to a CVT. I mean, is that good for towing, or is that a problem?
It's not a problem. We can tow up 2,000 pounds with the power split. Now, if towing for our customers is important, they want to tow a 23-foot camper, for example, we do offer a 2-liter ICE engine, a GTDI turbocharged engine that can tow up to 4,000 pounds. So we think it's the right solution for the fuel economy, the drivability, and also for that recreational use that you just described.
I really want to hear, I'm sure we'll get into things like the flex bed and some of the features, but I'm really curious to hear about kind of what's underneath this C2 platform that also underpins a bunch of other vehicles, Escape, Bronco Sport, Corsair. They all seem, pretty different. I'm wondering how much commonality, these vehicles share that maybe we as, journalists or consumers, owners don't see. And then, how did you go about differentiating it to make sure that it's not, a Bronco Sport with a bed, so to speak?
Yeah, great question. The progression that we're making from historical and traditional platforms to flexible architectures is really what's becoming kind of the secret sauce underneath these products. And what that means is we talking a lot of times in terms of Legos. So platform being one big Lego piece, flexible architecture being a smaller foundational Lego piece, but then that you can tailor it specific to the application with smaller Lego pieces, right? And the ability to tailor that specific to the application, where you can have a 1,500-pound payload truck or an off-road Bronco Sport, rock crawler, is where we're getting really excited. And the ability to extract scale efficiencies within the supply base to get that denominator of volume to be powerful, that's really what's helping us from a pricing standpoint. There's a great convergence with flexible manufacturing that's helping that as well, but we're now able to find efficiencies that we could pass to the customer, cost efficiencies we pass to the customer when the part isn't necessarily exactly common. Or exactly the same. So it's similar from a foundational standpoint, that initial Lego, but we've tailored it specific to the application, and we can still get those efficiencies and provide them to the customer. Be able to, again, price this much technology below $20,000.
And the fact that this is, the third or fourth vehicle on this platform, did that help you guys in terms of the speed of bringing this to market? Because I know you've talked about shaving, I think, 20 months off the total product development time of what it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did. We took about 20 months off of what we typically use. So again, when you start with the flexible architecture and those initial Lego blocks, you don't have to re-engineer, which is costly and timely. And you're working on those modular pieces that add to it that are specific to the application. That allows you to go fast. Going fast allows you to not only be, in this case, first to market to a white space segment, but it also provides additional cost efficiencies where you're avoiding just the burden cost of carrying engineers on the program, because the program is just shorter. So we can get our engineers off of our program, we get them onto other exciting programs and do more as we craft this future for Ford in the electrification space.
I'd like to ask you guys about the styling of the truck. I got to believe a lot of thought went into it because it's not the big macho F-150 kind of look or even the ruggedness of the Ranger. It seems more inviting. I'm not going to call it feminine, but it's definitely softer. There's some really interesting treatment around the headlamps. Tell me what your thought process was and how this was going to be styled.
Well, John, we view it very, we want it to be unmistakably Ford, right? So when this vehicle is behind you, we want you to know, and we think we've been successful, that you will know this is a Ford truck. So you will see some nods to our truck lineage, right? The seat channel headlamps, kind of the drop down in the sheet metal. That's a little bit of a nod to the F-Series trucks. The vehicle has a stance. We tried to give it a stance and a little bit of a broadness, so a wideness based on its overall size to give it that feel. But we really like the idea of providing a design that is simple but not basic, right? So you don't see a lot of cladding on the vehicle. It's clean lines, and I think that's what you're kind of picking up with your description.
So, sort of following up on that, you guys have obviously seen the forthcoming Santa Cruz, which will enter the same space that you guys are getting to first. I mean, how do you feel about the approach that you guys have taken vis-a-vis that truck?
Well, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, Gary, Hyundai, introducing the Santa Cruz. I think they are, as you previously asked, positioning the vehicle a little bit differently, more as a sport adventure vehicle. I think for Ford and for Maverick, really owning that truck positioning, the strength that we have from a Built Ford Tough perspective. And again, we feel really confident in the total package that we're offering here, regardless of first to market. Within this new compact pickup segment, we feel very confident and very strong with the total combination of fuel efficiency, the truck versatility, the cargo space, the passenger seating, and again, at the end of the day, that really, really strong message around affordability.
Trevor, how many fleet customers have been talking to you about this truck? Because that's the one area where I think Hyundai's probably not going to go down that path, right? And you guys have both the retail and the commercial markets that you can go after with this truck.
There's a ton of opportunity, John, on that front. I mean, obviously, as you guys well know, many both small and large commercial fleets that are certainly looking at Maverick as a very credible option for their daily fleets. So a lot of interest both on the retail and the fleet side. We'll just put it that way.
I'm wondering, guys, are you worried about maybe taking sales away from Ranger at all? I know sometimes truck buyers will buy more than they need. But if they see Maverick and they see, the price point and everything it can offer, well, you know what, maybe I don't need this midsize. Maybe I can go down a peg here. Is that a concern stealing from Ranger or even F-Series at all?
No, it's a great question, Mike. I don't think we are. And I know that there were similar concerns even when Ranger came to market just a few short years ago that we were going to see a lot of cannibalization with the F-150. And we really haven't seen that. Both products have been able to flourish alongside each other. And again, I think with sort of the target customer and the audience that we're after between Maverick and Ranger, again, Ranger is very much more of your off-road capable, adventure seeking product. This, the shot of the Tremor you guys have here is a perfect representation. It's very much a different, customer that's after a Ranger than what we're anticipating with Maverick. And because we fully expect to see many first-time truck customers coming to the Ford portfolio looking at Maverick, we absolutely expect that both trucks, both Maverick and Ranger, alongside our strong F-Series lineup, are going to continue to do really well.
Well, sticking with the sales for a minute. So I looked at the 2019 numbers for F-150 and Ranger, and F-150 was 896,000 and change, and the Ranger was almost exactly 10% below that at 89,571. I mean, so where do you see the Maverick fitting into this?
From an absolute sales perspective?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we fully expect F-Series and Ranger to both perform well at similar levels to what you have seen, over the last year or two. With Maverick, can't speak today to sort of what our expectations are on a volume side. We're going to build the demand, and as you guys have heard, and some of the recent updates from our CEO, there's a lot of appetite for this product, right? We've got a lot of reservations coming in. The demand is certainly strong, and we're going to continue to sort of progress that, and we'll certainly build to that demand.
Hey, we've got a number of questions from some viewers here. Everybody knows that it's a hybrid, but we had a couple of our viewers, Robert N. and Steve Rose, saying, what about an EV version?
Chris, you want to take that one?
Let's just say that we have a lot invested in the Maverick, obviously, right? And we're playing to win. So can't talk about future product plans, but we are excited to bring it to market, and we intend to keep the excitement around the Maverick.
Okay, and I'm going to ask these because we promised our viewers that we'd ask these questions. Bradley A. wants to know, what about a plug-in hybrid?
Yes, similar response. Similar response. But what I think, joking aside, the description I gave earlier about flexible architectures and the technology that we have within the Ford system speaks to some of these options. So we will obviously follow the market and do the right things in that space as far as finding the right pairing. But there is a relationship there with the ability to utilize and to extract the benefits out of a flexible architecture.
Okay, yep. I'm going to ask you one more future product question too, yeah, which comes to the flexibility of the architecture. Alex W. says, why not have an ICE to power the front wheels and batteries to do the rear wheels so you get all-wheel drive? Yeah. Would you even consider that kind of a setup?
Yeah, that's certainly that is a propulsion system that's out there that we know well. So we will consider all options, obviously, and we're going to make the right choice. The fantastic thing is there's so many fun technologies to think about and talk about right in this space, and the Maverick is a fantastic platform to kind of be included in that conversation. So,
good. But with the 2-liter, you do have an all-wheel drive system available, correct?
We do. Correct. Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Mike, you got another?
Oh, I got tons. I do want to ask.
I just lost my question by saying that.
Skipped you in line.
Okay, back to Gary.
All right, now we'll go to Mike.
All right. Well, yeah, I'd love to hear more about the product development process. If I understand correctly, you guys were kind of all in, at least before COVID hit. You guys were all in one big room, maybe a little bit different than how you've done things in the past. Could you sort of describe what that was like and maybe how that made the whole process more efficient for you?
Yes. We recognized that the climate is obviously, the competitive climate is very different. We cannot increment our way to where we want to be. So it's really an effort to disrupt ourselves and disrupt our business processes and practices. So that's what we did on this program. So this program was the first to follow an all-new product development system, a way that we take a product from an idea to paper to market, right? To bring this truck to market. A big part of that enabler to go fast and to disrupt ourselves that way was to organize ourselves in a different manner. So what that meant is we brought all cross-functional team members from the Maverick, whether they're in purchasing, whether they're in finance, engineering, the like, and we co-located in one big room all together, myself included. So, I mean, Ford is a big company, right? It would not be atypical for some team members on a program team and skill team and a certain skill team to be in another building, to be in another city, to be in another time zone. So we wanted to get all of that and extract out the benefits of communication and fast thinking and drive that decision making down to the lowest level. So that was a big part of it. Another big part of it was just the way we interacted with our senior leadership and secured funding as we progressed through the program. We organized the program in sprints, so basically week-long sprints where we would go as fast as we could And our leadership, rather than us presenting and going into rooms and the chief engineer going through a PowerPoint, we would go through the information that we had in the room, basically on the walls. And we would get alignment. We would get everyone nodding on the decisions that were made. There's rarely a decision can be made that there aren't trade-off type discussions, but everybody was on board, and then they would leave, and we would go, another week kind of all out. And that kind of progression is very different than what we've tried in the past to go faster, which is just kind of increment the treadmill speed by 1 notch. This idea of going all out, pausing, getting aligned, answering tough questions, getting decision made, and then going real fast again. So it's fantastic. In some ways, it was a failure because we set out to go 25 months faster, right? That was our wildly audacious goal that we took, that we set up after getting inspiration from companies like Spotify and other software companies because they operate in this manner. But boy, oh boy, are we excited to deliver 20 months improvement. And we learned so much by going through this process that the next set of programs, as we cross-pollinate these learnings, are going to go even faster. So I was really excited from that context.
Hey, well, I want to get into even more than that, but we got to take a quick commercial break, give a thanks to the sponsors that make the show possible. So let's do that. It'll take just a jiffy, and I want to get more into it because I find that fascinating.
Sure.
The world is changing at an ever-increasing pace. No matter what the mode of transportation, there is always the need for an efficient propulsion system. And that's exactly what BorgWarner has been doing since the earliest days of the automotive industry. We create innovative mobility technologies that reduce energy consumption and emissions while improving performance. Our proven track record has made us an industry leader in forward-looking propulsion solutions for combustion, hybrid, and electric vehicles.
All right, we're back talking all about the Ford Maverick with Chris Mazur and Trevor Scott. And Chris, I'll pick it up with you, but Trevor, I'd love to get your input on this as well. Chris, earlier you mentioned about the shared platform and how that helped to eliminate 20 months. But don't you think this co-location in one area of cross-functional teams going in these sprint modes, and we'll get into this too, of customer-centric design, isn't that the real secret of how you took so much time out of the program?
Yeah, certainly the enabler to go fast. One of the key enablers was just what you described. The power of driving decision making down to the lowest level and eliminating bureaucracy. I mean, Ford is a 100-plus-year-old company, right? So is fantastic, right? So we extract those benefits from our teams, and you can go fast. The communication in the room when you get out of formal emails or phone calls, just the face-to-face communication is really powerful. And so that's what we saw, and that really allowed us again to kind of get this momentum behind us. And what's interesting is even when we ran into the realities of COVID, right, and had to snap the string and change right from one end of the spectrum of all of us together all day who gave up our offices sitting in this room together to the reality we're all living under of working from home, that professional relationship establishment across the different skill teams was so powerful. The fact that the finance analyst knows the manufacturing engineer on a first name basis, right, and doesn't have to come to a centralized location, a program team, to kind of facilitate the communication. That helped us kind of maintain our momentum, and it was really interesting dynamic. Obviously, one that was unexpected, but a really interesting dynamic, and it makes us even more confident, especially as we paired some of the technologies that we have to in this virtual space, that we can continue with this approach, whether and when we're back together again, or if it's kind of this hybrid model as we all try to figure this out.
Yeah, Trevor, I'd like to get your input too. How you saw, were you in the room as well?
So yeah, I missed out on the opportunity to sit alongside Chris in the room with the rest of the folks. But what I will say is, I got to give a lot of credit to both the design and the engineering team, right? Because I think having a very clear understanding of who your customer is, and I think we absolutely had that with Maverick, allowed really that cross-functional team to all kind of row the boat in the same direction, right? They were all working collaboratively together. They knew whether it was the design of the flex bed, whether it was the materials that we chose for the interior of the truck, you name it. Having a very clear understanding of who this customer was, I think ultimately led to the strength in the vehicle that we have in front of us today. And really, hats off to the collective team and all the work that they've done in bringing this fantastic vehicle to market.
Trevor, I want to ask you a non-product development question, but it's something that I really wonder about. Why did you guys use the name Maverick?
It's a great question. Yeah, and it's a question we've been getting a lot. Obviously, depending upon where you fall in the age bracket, some folks have a different interpretation of what Maverick is. But what I will tell you is, as you guys might expect, we do a lot of research. When we're talking about naming a brand new vehicle for Ford Motor Company, we want to make sure that it best aligns with who that customer is. And so we did exactly that with sort of the different names that we had in front of us as possibilities for this new product. And what I will tell you is Maverick resonated the strongest with this customer. Maverick is really about defying expectations, and that's what we think this truck does. When you've got that fuel efficiency, 40 mpg in the city, you've got the passenger seating, you've got the versatility of the truck, but you've got all of that at an affordable price point below $20,000. We feel as though that sort of resembles the same as what the name does. It defies expectations. And so when we took the different names that we had in front of us to research, Maverick was what resonated the strongest, and so ultimately that's what we chose to move forward with.
Trevor, we're getting a little audio issues with you right now. If you can take a look, maybe take off the headset or unplug it and plug it again, but we'll figure that out.
Chris,
So,
I
John-
do have one for you. If we could maybe go back to that product development track, you mentioned the senior leadership reviews, and I mean, in this industry, those can be legendary. For the how that changes the direction of a program, or just the shouting matches that can go on, or but the way you guys did this seems like it maybe took some of the stress out of some of those meetings. Is that a good way to put it?
In some ways, stress, yes, but getting the leadership involved to be part of the journey, I think, was really, really powerful. I think the audience would be shocked if they saw the fidelity of information that we were putting in front of our leadership. They were not fine, and this is our senior leadership, the head of North America, like the top of Ford Motor Company's house. They weren't finely tuned presentations. The walls in this room, we called them living walls. So the program status and the health of the program was all over the walls, organized in a reasonable way. And that's what we would speak to. So there would be sticky notes that there would be live marking up with the Sharpie pen as we walk through things. And that's how decisions were made. And that's the type of data that we used to make those decisions. So, in some ways, hats off to the leadership team, or in a lot of ways, hats off to leadership to allow for that level of flexibility. But the power of taking the leadership along the journey was really apparent when we went, for formal milestone reviews, when we went for formal funding, right? Because they were part of the journey, there was really no questions to be asked. The trade-off, the decisions that were made, they understood why we made those decisions, right? Different types of trade-off, different implications. So it was really kind of interesting, where it was very, very short review, and we're talking, these are major capital investment type decisions that we're putting in front of our board of directors. So from that standpoint, it was a huge win, and it's something we're continuing to emulate, and it's something that I think is going to become, really how we bring products to market moving forward.
Trevor, we'll check out your audio here, but here's the question I want to throw at you about it. My understanding is you guys almost want to make this the truck for makers, so that, sure, you can buy all these great accessories that the Ford Motor Company is willing to sell you, but my understanding is you're going to show owners all kinds of things that they can do on their own. I think one of the examples was, we'll sell you a bike holder. You drop the wheel and you attach the bike to the bed. Or here's how you can go to the local hardware store and make it yourself for about $20. Fill in the blanks there. What's the approach, and how do you want to present this to the public as the cool things that they can do with this truck?
Yeah, it's a great question, and apologies for the IT challenges. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. No, it's a great question, John. I mean, I think really, again, it gets back to, that target customer, right? They're after something that's affordable. So as you mentioned, we're going to have a full suite of Ford accessories available to this customer that they can, personalize and customize their truck with. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're providing affordable solutions to this customer as well. And it gets into the flex bed, it gets into the interior, the cab of the vehicle, really a lot of opportunities where we're providing customers with insight on how they can actually customize their truck affordably. And a great example is building your own bike rack. So the flex bed of the truck was designed specifically with certain slots to fit 2x4s or 2x6s, bed rails that allow the customer to effectively go to their local hardware store, spend $20, $30 on the bill of materials that they would need, and we provide them with the step by step on how they can actually build their own bike rack. So that's the beauty of this truck, is it's not just providing a whole bunch of accessories that the customer may not have the budget for. It's giving them sort of a list of opportunities or options that they can use to fully customize and personalize their vehicle.
And maybe I could just add to that real quick. It's really, we think it's a way we're going to build not just a customer base, but a community, right? Providing the customer a unique way to interact with the vehicle, we think is going to result in the customers interacting with each other, which will build a community. And we're really, really excited to see the creativity behind the design elements and the enablements, as we call them, that we put into the truck in this doer space. So,
Chris, talk a little bit about this customer-centric design, where you guys didn't just dream up this stuff. You did come up with ideas. My understanding is more by watching how people use their trucks, but you also brought real live people in early in the design to show them very basic kinds of things to get quick customer feedback before you went out and built, solid properties.
Yeah, it's called human-centered design approach. And one of the things that you just described there is trying to fail fast. By going fast and failing fast, right, you can contain the result. You can contain the blast radius, if you will, right? If you fail too late, that blast radius is much bigger, and the implications. The fun part of the flex bed and the journey that we were on, and we kind of use it as our classic example of this framework, human-centered design, is it started with a central question of how could we incorporate the design of the bed into the customer's lifestyle. This lifestyle of our Maverick customer who is a doer, this lifestyle of the customer who enjoys HGTV, who does these IKEA hacks, who actually is hacking their truck today. And we knew that because the next part of this process is you go and you research the customer. So we spend all sorts of time the way you described, but also watching the customers at places like Home Depot, Lowe's, at recreational stores, at community colleges, and we were blown away with the level of creativity of what customers were doing in the bed of their truck to solve different problems that they were having. So we started to categorize the different ideas, whether those were bike racks or fishing rod holders or cargo management systems. There were a bunch of ideas that we liked. There were others that we really didn't like and would never advocate. But we then looked at how could we design in elements into the vehicle, into the bed of the truck, to make it easier for them, to make it safer for them. And two kind of examples along those lines are just a simple bike rack, the way you described. What customers were having to do is build a elaborate platform, if you will, out of 2x4s that would be heavy and clumsy. You got to put it in your garage. So just giving the customer sheet metal depressions where they can put a 4x4 and locating it in the appropriate spot where you can put the front tire after taking it off of the bike in front of the bed or in front of the bike was a real win. So for, like you said, for $20, $30, we're going to show you how to do it. Come to the Ford Maverick site. We'll show you what hardware to buy. You can have a bike rack if you don't want to buy our accessories bike rack, if you rather put that money towards your bike. We also have electrical DIY. So we were a little concerned with what we saw with customers in order to put bed lighting underneath the rails, in order to put a compressor in the vehicle, in order to put marine speakers even in the back of their vehicle, that they were drilling through the firewall in order to get the power distribution box, that they were cutting into brake lines in order to access 12 volt. You don't have to do that on the Ford Maverick. You can pull off 2 plugs on both sides of the D-pillar. You have access to 12 volts that plugged in. We're going to show you some cool ideas of what you can do with that. And what we're really excited, again, this idea of building a community, is we want to see the creative solutions that our customers come up with, and as they communicate to each other and kind of crowdsource these ideas. And we think the best ones will rise to the top, and it's going to be fun. So it's kind of a jump ball right now. We're interested to see where it goes.
All right, so let me ask you guys, either one of you or both. Okay, so JD Power just came out with numbers. The average transaction price for a vehicle now is 40 grand and change. Somebody's going to hear that you guys are offering the Maverick for under 20 grand. Now, they're going to say, come on, this thing must be thrifted to death. This thing, these guys are talking about affordability. I mean, there's, maybe the steering wheel is going to be optional. I mean, it's just like, okay, so I mean, how are you guys doing this? I mean, what specific things are there that, that speak to this is a robust contemporary vehicle that anybody be proud to have?
Maybe I'll go
Chris,
first.
I'll let you go first. Yeah.
So I would encourage that customer to comparison shop us and go drive our vehicle, right? Go do a bench drive, a drive at your dealership, because they're going to be really happy. How we did it is exactly what we talked about earlier. This, there's execution, which is just blocking and tackling, a tenacious approach to managing every element of the vehicle's income statement. But it's the strategy that's really the important part here. And that gets to the flexible architectures, right? And the ability to extract efficiencies that we can pass on to the customer with scale economies, extract efficiencies to avoid costly or to minimize the number of costly prototypes that we have to do. And that speaks to speed to market, going faster so we can carry less engineering labor throughout the program. Get the engineers engineer our products, get them onto other engineers, or get them onto other products at Ford. So that is the secret sauce in there of how we were able to get to this, to be able to profitable at this price level. But yes, go comparison shop us and go drive the vehicle where you're going to be happy with it. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. I mean, I think it really gets into sort of who your customer is, prioritizing the features and the technologies that are most important to that customer. And again, as Chris mentioned, would strongly encourage folks to go to Ford.com, look at all the standard equipment that you get with the Ford Maverick. Because many, to your point, Gary, might see this as a bait and switch, right? Where this is, hey, you're talking about a advertisable price of under $20,000. What am I actually going to get for that? You get so much technology. You get a standard 8-inch touchscreen. You get standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, rear view camera, all of the provisions that we have in our flex bed, so many different technologies and features from a driver assist perspective. So there's a lot of equipment that comes at that price point. But again, it was all about prioritizing what was most important to this customer, still giving them the options to walk up in our trim lineup, and would strongly encourage customers to go to our build and price experience on Ford.com.
And with 1,500-pound payload, all of which can be put in the bed of the truck. We want to make sure our customers understand that. We still need a driver, so the majority of it in the bed of the truck.
I wanted to ask, because from a 10,000-foot view, it seems like, based on everything you just said, you're almost really redefining what it means to be an entry-level vehicle. For maybe younger folks just out of college, constrained by a budget, what they can get right now out of this Maverick is vastly, more capable, more utilitarian than what they could get 5 years ago. So I'm just wondering, how important is it, under Jim Hackett and now Jim Farley, for you guys to be able to really entice and capture some of these entry-level newer customers and bring them into the Ford brand this way?
Yeah, I mean, it's extraordinarily important, right? And I think it gets back to sort of the initial strategy behind bringing Maverick to market in the first place, right? Is, as we moved away from sedans, there was certainly a strong need to have that affordable entry-level vehicle within our lineup. And, again, it's absolutely a truck. We are so proud of it being a built Ford tough truck, but we fully expect that we're going to see a lot of those customers, to your point, Mike, that up to this point, really haven't had much to choose from, especially from a new vehicle perspective, right? Many of those customers likely have had to buy a used vehicle. They've had to compromise in some shape or form in terms of the vehicle choices that they have. Maverick, because it delivers on so many of those different attributes, but does so at an affordable price point, it's really an opportunity for us to get the Ford name in front of a lot of new customers and bring them into the portfolio and hopefully retain them and keep them as loyal customers throughout their purchase cycle.
Mike, once we knew that we could pass all of our Built Ford Tough testing, that we could be credible and deliver the fuel economy, 40 miles per gallon city, once we knew that, and then we knew that we could offer at this price point affordably, we went all in on how do we meet the customer's demands around versatility, right? And that's really, whether it's the ability to carry 1.5 liter super tall water bottles, right? The underseat storage that we have, the Ford integrated tether system, the idea of we're not only, come buy cool accessories from us that can go in, but we'll give you the CAD and you can, use your 3D printer, which a lot of our customers enjoy, kind of that space, and show us your creativity, what you can do. And obviously the flex bed. Once those came together, we obviously were excited, and putting it at this, having a entry-level showroom variant, just like Trevor said, speaks to kind of the strategy behind why we did this, for sure.
Hey, I've got a few more questions from our viewers. Some we've already addressed. Jason Wilburn wanted to know about towing, but you've already talked about that. But Chris, let me ask you this one. JD Clough says, dimensions, please. Can you tell us wheelbase, overall length, bed, some of the size features of this truck?
Yeah, so I don't have my spec sheet in front of me. The hardest thing for a chief engineer sometimes is to answer. We are always working on for it. So let me
look. If you don't have those at your fingertips, don't worry.
But I'm going to do it in text. But so because I don't want to misspeak with some of the specific dimensions on wheelbases and the like. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's fair. No problem. Okay, so Trevor, we had a couple of people, Kit Gerhart and Rick, said, why no cruise control on the XL? And in fact, Kit said, get rid of the power windows, but not cruise control.
Well, again, right, it gets back to, as Chris was laying out, sort of how do you sort of best fulfill the needs of this customer and do so at an affordable price, right? And so by all means, Maverick is going to have all of the technologies that this customer is after. But when you're talking about that entry-level offering, that offering that's below $20,000, certainly, right? Speaking transparently, you have to make tough choices on certain equipment and certain features. But again, even jumping into our XLT series, right, where you got a starting price below $24,000, right? It's still a very affordable product. Where you get a lot of equipment and a lot of features and technologies. So albeit there's going to be a lot of folks like that are saying, hey, why didn't you do this instead of that? But trust me, we've got all the features and technology that this customer is after.
Yeah, thanks.
Chris, let me ask you a question. Of course, you're busy trying to find those dimensions. I can tell you that's 199.7 inches long and 68.7 inches high. I don't know why you guys have that statistic on your site, but I was able to get that quickly. Okay, here's my question. So give us some metrics for what Built Ford Tough means for the Maverick.
Yeah. Built Ford Tough speaks to dependability. It speaks to design. It speaks to durability. So, and it speaks to capability that in some ways is unexpected, right? So we'll talk about capability first. 1,500-pound payload for a vehicle this size, up to 4,000-pound towing. Want to tow a 23-foot camper, right? We have the capability to do that. Built Ford Tough from a dependability and durability standpoint speaks to the torture testing that we put this product through. It speaks to the torture testing we put all of our trucks through. The customer would be surprised to see in the bed of the truck that in a lot of ways they would be hard pressed to know if we're testing a Super Duty truck or a Maverick, right? So there's a relationship there that is, I can't tell you exactly, but there's a relationship there that is the foundation of why we are comfortable calling this Built Ford Tough. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So
all right. So what's an example of torture? What's an example of what you torture it? I mean, do you like freeze it and then thaw it and then put it under heat lamps?
Every type of environmental test and environment you can think of, corrosion type testing that you would make your skin turn, the type of barrels that we drop in the vehicle, the type of weights that we put on the tailgate to ensure that any collection of farmers who sit on the end of the tailgate that's going to be robust and strong for them. Whether it's the surfaces that we drive over, whether it's the curb impact testing that we do. I mean, this is this speaks to kind of, again, everything we know about F-Series, everything we know about Ranger, and getting those learnings into this product, so that influence is there. The other thing that's fantastic is, I was talking about Legos blocks early on, and this idea of flexible architecture. The advantage of that is the foundation of those parts have so much testing and so much mileage on them. And we tried to calculate, I think we were up to 19 million miles on some of the parts, the foundational parts of real world testing that we have on these vehicles. And that speaks again to the flexible architecture. It started with common platforms, moving more to these flexible architectures. And you get that advantage. You know these parts better, you know how they perform. And every time you touch them, you make them stronger, better, right? And more, you can tune them now with this ability to put on these flexible modules, tune them to the application.
So Trevor, you guys are on TikTok now, and that's sort of how you helped launch this product. I'm just wondering, from a marketing standpoint, how have things changed, and what do some of these new social media apps, or I guess not necessarily brand new, but what do some of these new venues for you allow you to do in terms of your marketing that you haven't been able to do before?
Yeah, great question, Mike. I mean, again, it gets into sort of the connectivity of this customer, right? Very connected customer in terms of what they're doing on a daily basis. They live in social media, and TikTok is obviously a very, very strong platform where we see this customer interacting. And so as we set out to reveal the product and really kind of build the excitement around it, partnering with our ambassador and Gabrielle Union, and really using her social following and really sort of placing sort of the vehicle in a lot of those channels like TikTok, it gives us sort of a different opportunity to really get the Ford brand out there, places where we typically have not been before. But beyond just sort of building excitement around this all new vehicle, certainly I think broader exposure for the Ford brand overall. So you're going to continue to see a lot of that as we get closer to sort of the mass media launch for this truck, is playing in spaces that typically we haven't been in before. But it's all about going to where this customer is and making sure that we're really creating the awareness and the excitement around the product so that we can ultimately try and drive that demand to our Ford dealerships.
We're getting towards the end here of the show, but I'd like you to keep going with that thought there, Trevor, and have Chris weigh in on it as well. At the very beginning, I put in the title of the show that it could become a cult classic, and I do believe that. I mean, that wasn't just coming up with a title here. The way that you're approaching it, the marketing, going on TikTok, this customer-centered design, the whole maker or DIY approach. I'm not saying that sales are going to explode, but to me, this has got the makings of something that people are really going to be passionately involved in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we've seen it, in terms of customers coming to Ford.com, the activity that we've seen in terms of interacting with our build and price experience, the number of reservations, right? Customers that have expressed an interest at looking at actually, purchasing a Maverick have far surpassed our expectations. And I think, as we move forward and we get closer to the launch this fall, where the vehicles will start to arrive to our Ford dealerships, we fully expect that momentum is going to continue to grow. And again, from a marketing perspective, we're going to make sure that we're in all the places where this customer lives, predominantly in social media, streaming TV. That's really the places where they interact. But we fully expect that we're going to see a very broad interest in this truck. It's not just the target customer. The consumption customer is going to also be a number of folks that maybe have purchased a truck in the past, but are looking for something that, again, fits all of these different criteria, that really has that full package of fuel efficiency, capability, and at the end of the day, affordability.
Yeah, and Chris, you got the last word on this.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, there aren't a lot of great options right now at this price point. And so the Maverick, with the capability we're going to bring, with the fuel economy, with the versatility at this price point, we are really excited. And we would love for it to ultimately result kind of where you said, John, a cult following. So we're going to make that our new mantra.
Cool. That's great. Hey, look, I know you guys got to get back to work, But thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today. It's been awesome, hearing you talk about it. I cannot wait to drive this truck.
We can't wait to have you in one, John. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you having us.
Real good.
Thank you.
Mike Martinez, great having you back too.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
And Gary, we should let everybody know we're off next week. The Autoline crew is taking a summer break just for a week, and then we'll be back after that. But I'll see you then, Gary. And
All right.
thanks everybody else for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Autoline After Hours is brought to you by Bridgestone Tires, solutions for your journey, and by Borg Warner, propulsion solutions that support a clean, energy-efficient world.
Visit our website, Autoline.tv, where you can watch us live Thursday afternoons. Get your daily fix with Autoline Daily and in-depth analysis and interviews with Autoline This Week. There's all that and much more at Autoline.tv.